Guys, welcome to this week's Red Dead Redemption 2 video. As most of my regular viewers will know, I normally cover the single player version of this title, but this time around I decided to cover the online. It's been so long since I've really gotten into it, so I wanted to take a look just how things stood here in 2022. I'll be starting off at the very beginning, and the plan here is to take a look at the general gameplay, the in-game economy system, loading times, the introduction story, and the good and not so good things about the version itself. Basically, you guys will be getting a bit of a detailed view from my experience, and whether I believe or not, it's still worth playing all these years after its initial release. So sit back, relax, and I hope you all enjoy. Now this recording is from the PC version, and with decent internet speed, it took me around 30 seconds from the minute I clicked play online up to the start of the very first scene, which was pretty good I thought. As I started up, after the quick scene had finished, I was pretty impressed on just how much variety I had when creating my character, particularly the lifestyle feature, which allowed me to add such details such as moles, freckles, skin blotches, and darkened circles around the eyes. It's just very detailed. After spending around 15 minutes or so flicking through the available options, I finally settled on the model I liked, so after getting my mugshot taken, off I went into the online world of Red Dead Redemption. Now we begin 6 months after our arrest, breaking rocks within a prison yard. One thing I noticed here was that when the guard was selecting us for an outside work detail, it can be different locations he says we will start in. I know this because when I began earlier that day, I'm pretty sure it said tumbleweed. I only spotted this because I had an issue with an original recording and was forced to start over. So most players will begin in different areas it seems. Now another thing I spotted was that one of the prison guards, Milligan, was the same guy that Arthur Morgan took hostage during John's prison escape in chapter 6 of the single player. That guy has no luck. So moving on swiftly, to make a long story short, I was rescued from the prison van by a man named Hawley and a couple of hired guns. He had me take the guard's weapons from the ground and had the horse waiting for me. This horse, known only as a scrawny nag, looks like it's on its deathbed, but I figured we'll only be using it to follow Hawley wherever he's taking us, so I wasn't too concerned. Off we went, as Hawley filled me in on a little of our own backstory, giving us an explanation as to why I was actually arrested and imprisoned in the first place. He took me to his boss, a lady called Jessica Leclerc, who gave me more information as to why they staged my rescue. Her husband was killed, and I was framed, among several others. I'm assuming that she meant the other players in Red Dead Online, and she would like us to track down who done it and why. When given a change of clothes, I was happy to see that there were several different options I could choose from. Not many, but at least a few. I figured I would buy some more soon enough anyway, so I wasn't too overly worried about my appearance just yet. More on that later. I was then introduced to Cripps, an old and friendly soul who would be helping us set up camp. In the little briefing text box that appeared, it quickly told me that if I wished to have my camp relocated in the future, there would be a small charge. After a brief scene, it prompted me to choose my starting location. Good, I thought, as I wanted to start somewhere south so I could reminisce from my days playing Red Dead Redemption 1. But nope, I was only given one option, the Heartlands. Okay, I thought, I'll just fast travel there when I can. More on that later too. In front of me stood two horses, Hawley's steed and that useless scrawny nag. Of course I wanted the better one, but after trying to mount it a couple of times, it seems I was only destined to take the worst of the two. It wouldn't even let me check the stats of Hawley's horse. So off I went on the back of this scrawny nag, trying to make it to the post office in the town of Valentine. Now I know this area pretty well, and I figured I'd be there in a couple of minutes. This damn scrawny nag had different ideas. The stamina of this horse is unbelievably terrible, and I genuinely would have to slow down to a trot every 30 seconds or so just so it could get its breath back. It took me a lot longer to get to Valentine than I expected. Finally, I arrived. Just before I entered the station, I stumbled across the emotes option, which I'm glad to say had a little customization. From this, I flicked through some of the online options and was pretty happy with some of the stuff you can change, so I set it how I liked and continued on with my story. Firstly, it wouldn't let me call for the station clerk's attention. I literally had to stand in front of his face before he even noticed me. But when we eventually spoke, I thought he was quite an entertaining character. Disappointed Alden is what he preferred to go by. Anyway, after around 30 minutes of gameplay, I was finally going to see some action. Alden gave me a mission to track down a group of bandits who had been robbing stagecoaches without paying the clerk his toll. So off I went on a scrawny nag once more and headed toward the Cumberland Forest. Luckily, this area was only slightly north of Valentine, so it didn't take too long to get there. I didn't have much trouble finding the bandits' hideout because as I drew a little closer, it pinpointed exactly on the minimap where it was. The gang wasn't too difficult to take down. It was more my inexperience of not being able to use the Deadeye system, as I'd grown to love from the single player mode. After finding the leader, I was offered the treasure map and given a choice to either kill him or spare him. I was intrigued to see that the honour system had made its way into online and wondered just what role it would play. Throughout my time as Arthur Morgan, I always played with high honour, so this time I decided to go low. Now with the treasure map, I once again, still on a scrawny nag because the bandits didn't have a single horse between them I could take, headed out in search of my fortune. When I finally got there and uncovered the treasure, I picked up a free ability card, some jewellery, a whole bunch of ammunition, 0.05 worth of gold and $3. Now this left me with a total fund of 0.15 of a full gold bar and $4.46. Okay, I thought, I don't know the price of anything yet, so this might be good. I then learned what the ability card did. It granted me the Deadeye ability, something I was grateful for. Given a couple of options, I chose the painted black variation as this allowed me to target specifically when aiming at someone in this mode. Now I was off to see Clay Davis, a local horse rustler. This was the first opportunity I had gotten to play alongside other people in Red Dead Online. Now before I begin, I quickly remembered just how long the loading times were when trying to start an online mission in GTA 5, but I'm happy to say that I was able to matchmake in less than a minute. After the cutscene with Clay played out, who by the way I wanted to punch within the first 10 seconds, me and my newfound friend set off to steal ourselves some horses. I thought this was quite an intense firefight, considering it was our first, but we battled our way through and made it to the stables. Before jumping on just any horse, we had a choice of 4, I quickly checked the stats of them all. Finding the one I wanted, I fled the scene and tried to make my way back to Clay. Unfortunately for me, the guys we stole the horses off didn't take too kindly to this and immediately came after us. They caught me. Okay, so what now? Do me and the horse just respawn here or back at the stable? Not exactly. I came to in the same spot while the horse was gone for good, so this only left me with one option: make my way back to the stables and grab another, all the while still being hunted. Eventually, I was able to grab another one and then finally make it to the drop-off point with Clay. A small scene played out where I was very happy to learn that as a sign of good faith and future business, I was able to keep this new horse. No more scrawny nag. It was here I was introduced to the different customizations I could give the horse, which I will say was more than I expected. Now I was off to my new camp. It was around this time that I realised I hadn't eaten in a little while and wondered if the online had the same weight gain and loss system as the single play, so I decided to grab some lunch along the way. After the little chat with Crips, the introduction video to Red Dead Online began, meaning that the tutorial was finished with. Now the real open world began. After resting at the campfire, I flipped through the crafting options and noticed there was a lot more weapons and supplies to create than the single player mode. Then I remembered that Alwyn from earlier had given us a catalogue that we could purchase all sorts of items from. By this time, after the Clay mission, I now stood with 0.31 worth of gold and a little over $25 in my pocket, so let's go shopping. One of my favourite weapons of the game is the Springfield rifle, and I was disappointed to find out that not only did I have nowhere near enough cash to purchase this, but I had to be level 38 to even unlock the option to buy it. Right now, I was at level 4. Okay, so I'll move on to some of my other favourite things: hunting and fishing. I wanted the bow and arrow and was given 2 choices. One was $275 and could be bought now, or the other was $125, but I had to be level 10 to unlock this. A similar issue when trying to purchase the fishing rod too. Although the price wasn't too bad at $32.50, I still had to rank myself up to level 14 before I was even given the option to buy. I'll move on to some new threads, I thought. Of course, I had to level up before I could buy the outfits I wanted, not to mention their ridiculous prices, but there was another way. It told me I could purchase them early with gold bars. Now while I sat on only 0.31 of gold, I decided to take a look at the Rockstar store, just to see how much it would set me back buying gold. The outfit I wanted was the Zacateka, which was available for 54 gold. This was going to set me back a real world currency of just under £20, so that idea went right out of the window. Exploring the map, I was happy to see there was a lot to do. Story missions, stranger quests, online PvPs. But before I began any of these, I took a quick trip to Valentine to visit the barber shop, which is situated inside the Smithfield Saloon. There's a couple of free items here you can use to replenish your cores, if like me, you're a little short on cash. There are pickled eggs or almonds, both atop the bar. Not sure what this guy wants. Anyway, back to business. In the barber's chair, it was good to see there's quite a few choices. Not only is there a wide variety of hair and beard styles, but you can change your other features, such as dentistry, and decide whether you want to have facial stubble alongside your chosen facial hair. The prices weren't too bad, but still a little steep for me at this point. Although, the booze was pretty cheap, so I guess everyone's happy at that. While there, I paid a quick visit to the general store. I really wanted a hat and coat, but again was disappointed by the in-game prices, so I had to, once more, leave it for now. For the next main mission in the story, I need to speak with Hawley all the way down in the town of Blackwater. And even though I didn't have to deal with the scrawny nag anymore, my current horse, Trigger, still wasn't the fastest. this is when I decided to use a fast travel point. Yet again, this cost more money, so I now knew that I had to pay for both fast travel and to relocate my camp. Okay, so to get to Blackwater was only $3, and even though money was short, I decided to spend. I figured I would make the money back on whatever mission it gave me. So off I went to Blackwater and met up with Hawley and a new acquaintance, Old Man Jones. After a few minutes worth of a cutscene, I learned that it wasn't even a mission at all. It was basically an introduction to other missions, so yes, I just paid $3 for nothing. It wasn't all so bad. From a little hunt I did earlier before arriving back on my camp with Mr. Cripps, I still had some animal parts stowed away, so I was able to sell them at the Blackwater Butcher and make most of my travelling expenses back. While still in Blackwater, I noticed the stranger mission was available. This is when I met Hector Barlow, an associate of Alden. He had work for me, and what I was happy with was that I was given a few different options as to which type of work I could choose from. Something I'm sure wasn't a choice back when Red Dead Online was first released. So I could choose between a caravan escort, a supply mission, or a delivery mission. I figured I'd choose the first one and work my way down. I was given the job of escorting 2 caravans to the nearby town of Tees Landing, which wasn't too far away. To speed things up, I took control of the reins, but then realised that when I sped up, the trailing caravan behind stayed at the same speed. So being the only non-NPC here, I felt I had to hand the reins back over and was stuck at a snail's pace. I encountered a couple of ambushes along the way, but nothing that was too difficult to handle. Shortly after, we arrived at our destination. I was getting experience points for every kill, more if I landed a headshot too, so I was hoping to level up more quickly to be able to purchase things from the catalogue that I wanted. When arriving there, I earned an additional 100 XP and $2 even before the mission was passed. Then upon completion, I received even more. This time I got 0.16 gold, 360 XP, $14.15, another 200 XP, and a further 0.1 gold. So I figured the earlier payment was a bonus of some sorts, maybe because I got there without any debts, I'm not sure. Although the mission had a 15-minute time limit, I was able to complete it in around 4 minutes. I also ranked up to level 5 now too. Although the stranger mission paid pretty well, minus the gold at least, I wanted to see what the main missions paid too. The nearest one to me was in the town of Strawberry to the north, called On the Nature of Beasts. During my travel, my horse kept running out of stamina, just like the scrawny nag, although not quite as often. But luckily, along the way, I found myself some golden currant plants, which I was able to use to replenish my horse's stamina core. It helped a little, but not a lot. It took me around 6 or 7 minutes to get from Thieves Landing to Strawberry, and when I finally got there, I was introduced to a lengthy but entertaining cutscene at the welcoming centre. I met up with both Gus McMillan and Harriet Davenport. Gus is a hunter and Harriet is a saver. Both of them introduced themselves and stated that they had opportunities for me to earn money. Good, I needed to. Harriet informed me that she had a book for sale that I would need. It seemed that so far in this game it's costing me more money than I was earning, but regardless, I was still intrigued. One of Harriet's sites was close, so I headed north to see what was what. The sample kit that I needed to complete special missions for her was a whopping 25 gold bars. And referring back to the current price on the Rockstar store, this would cost me in the real world £9, so again, that would be a big no. Also, to purchase special items from her, I would need to build up a separate ranking system that was exclusive to Harriet alone, and I'm assuming it only begins after you purchase the sample kit. Harriet would have to wait. Following this, I headed over to Gus to see what we could do there, doing a bit of hunting along the way too, so I could sell and earn a few dollars. I'm happy to say that doing business with Gus is much easier than Harriet. Gus is very similar to the Trapper from the single player campaign, where he requires you to bring him specific pelts, as he can craft you clothing. His prices seem to be better than the catalogues too. The only thing I didn't understand, or maybe just completely missed, was where to find the legendary animals that he required for some craftings. I didn't see any option to purchase a map of any sorts. Although I liked my horse, I did want a faster one, so I found myself at the stables just outside of Strawberry, getting myself some prices. I thought if I sold Trigger, it would at least give me something toward buying a new one, but that wasn't an option. It would only let me discard of it. I was happy to learn that they had a sale on horses, but as of right now, with less than $50 in my pocket, I doubted I was going to get anything but a price for the time being. I priced in the superior section, which had a selection of Arabian horses. 2 of them required a very high rank before I was even able to make the purchase, but there was a third, the red chestnut. Now, considering its high stats, especially compared to Trigger, I thought that $250 was a pretty good price. I was of course way short of the funds, but it was something for me to keep in mind. Even some of the more standard horses still required a specific level for me to unlock, but I figure for future plans, I will hold out for the Arabian. It seemed to be the best bargain. I decided to continue my work for Hawley and headed east to the mission titled The Right Side of the Tracks. While out on my travels, I bumped into Old Man Jones again. who offered me to change my honour rating to high for a fee of 3 gold bars. Something to remember for the future, but as of right now, I still don't understand how the honour system plays a role in the online world. When I arrived at Painted Sky to trigger the mission, I sat on the loading screen for nearly a full 2 minutes. There were 4 players, including myself, ready for the quest, my biggest team so far. 3 of us were pretty low ranked, but 1 was ranked 54, so I planned to try and hide behind him if I could. It took quite a while before we were given the option to even tell the game we were ready. I don't know why. After a short cutscene with Clint Arnsdale and Sheriff Hawley, who you may remember from the campaign, me and the boys headed on over to an abandoned town of Limpany. A heavy firefight followed all of this, and I felt a little in over my head, but we persevered and a chase sequence began. After catching the foes, we dropped them off at the train tracks, where another small scene played out, and once again, I, along with the others, was given the option to make either the honourable choice or dishonourable choice. This time it came with a voting system. Even after this mission, I still hadn't managed to quite make 1 full gold bar just yet, but my funds were now just under $90. I performed another stranger mission or 2 and ended up with similar results as before, around $15 to $20 and crumbs of gold. I headed back to my camp to rest up, get some food and me, and think about what I wanted to undertake next before I finally shut off for the night. Scouring over the map, I set my sights on becoming a bounty hunter. The mission was located in Rhodes, which was quite a distance away, and I certainly didn't want to keep paying travel expenses, either by using travel posts or paying to relocate my camp. So with a little thinking, I came up with something different. I decided to go back to the main screen of the game and re-enter the free mode, but this time I was able to choose which area I wanted to start off in. It saved me at least $1. In Rhodes, a pretty entertaining cutscene played out with some familiar faces, and after it finished, I was presented with the opportunity to become a bounty hunter. But again, this would cost me, and not just cash this time, they wanted gold. Now I had already put several hours into the game and was still incredibly short of purchasing anything I really wanted. So to conclude on this video, do I think it's worth playing Red Dead Online in 2022? I would say yes, but it's not a firm yes. The general gameplay is about what I expected, being somewhat similar to the single player. I didn't like the fact that our character couldn't speak. I only needed to hire a couple of male and female actors and chose not to. There are nowhere near as many scenes as the single player, so I don't understand why this wasn't done. The story itself was pretty good, and I'm looking forward to seeing where the honour system is leading me. Does it present a separate series of missions, or prices in store, or at the fence? The in-game economy system is a bit ridiculous. For what you earn to what you have to pay out is so unbalanced. You would have to do 4 to 5 missions just to obtain one of the lower ranked hats or shirts, for example. Not to mention you also have to save money for ammunition and supplies for both you and your horse. The loading times while waiting for mission would either be very quick or very long. Whether this may be other players' connectivity issues, I'm not sure. I think the introduction story was pretty good, I enjoyed it, but it was a good 30 or so minutes before I even saw any action, and I'm not sure people would want to wait that long. So all in all, I did enjoy my time playing this, and it's something I will go back to, but honestly, I feel I may lose interest before I ever get enough gold bars to open up what I needed. Guys, thank you for watching, I hope you all enjoyed. Let me know what you think of Red Dead Online. Do you enjoy it? Are you still active on it? What do you think of some of the points I've made today? If you enjoyed the video, please hit like and think about subscribing to the channel. Stick around for more Red Dead Redemption 2 videos. I normally have 1 or 2 every week. If you want to get in touch, you can find me on Instagram at PhilbyGaming. Link is both on screen and in the description below. Thank you all who made it to the end, and I'll see you in the next one.